This comes to us from lex18.com. After calls for police accountability reached a height in 2020, a new law came into effect this summer that intends to make it easier to get rid of problem officers and allow hiring agencies to flag police who had issues in previous jobs. This is out of Lexington, Kentucky. Now, Kentucky Senate Bill 80 passed this spring and took effect in June, giving the Kentucky Law Enforcement Council, or CLEC, K-L-E-C, more power to decertify bad police officers and inform the law enforcement agencies of potential new hires' previous issues. Since then, 2 officers have been recommended for decertification by the Kentucky Law Enforcement Council, and 4 were found not to qualify for decertification. Maybe they investigated their own. But the council has received 72 inquiries from police agencies around the state wanting to check the status of officers before hiring them. So they're starting to do this now. Do you think Louisville has any, the Louisville Metro Police, do you think they have any impact on this? Maybe? Maybe not? Memphis? Georgetown Police Chief Mike Boss said, "It is not a perfect system, and sometimes we fail to identify a problem. But when we do identify a problem, there should be a process that keeps that person from wearing that badge, simply because of the amount of responsibility that comes with the job, and law enforcement supports that." Not always, Mike. Now, one of the issues to be tackled by the new changes is that of officers who were suspected of misconduct of one agency but resigned from that agency before an internal investigation could be completed or before they could be fired. Agencies will now be required to turn over the information to Kentucky Law Enforcement Council on pending internal investigations into officers who quit or are fired.
First is House Bill 312. It deals with open records requests, more specifically who can make one. This bill will limit the ability of anyone who doesn't live, work, or do business in Kentucky to get records through an open records request. These restrictions do not apply to out-of-state journalists.
Responding to these records requests all over the country are very costly, and it costs Kentucky taxpayers more money to respond to records that are not coming from Kentuckians.
Governor Andy Beshear vetoed this bill, but the Republican-controlled legislature overturned that veto.
And so now when police officers, let's say, have an issue and they're going to be investigated in, let's say, Boogala, Kentucky, and they resign or get fired and move to another city, when they apply to be police officers there or sheriff's deputies, they can contact the Boogala Police Department or Boogala County Sheriff's Department and ask them, did this guy have any internal investigations going on? Does this guy have any issues? Do he have any complaints? And they, under the Kentucky Law Enforcement Council, the new state bill, they have to release that information to them. If they don't, I wonder if that is withholding information. Oh, he doesn't have anything. No. Could that be withholding information if it comes out later and result in criminal prosecution? I don't know, that's a good one, right? So it'll be a hiring agency's responsibility to request the information on officers they're considering, but Bossy believes that departments will. You got a lot of faith in hiring agencies with law enforcement. Bossy is a member of Kentucky Law Enforcement Council, serving on the council's executive committee and as the chair of the Professional Standards Committee. Bossy was on Eastern Kentucky University's campus for training on the day he was interviewed by Lex 18, and had just left a class where he asked 70 police chiefs what they thought of the changes brought on by Senate Bill 80. All of them supported what the new law intends to do, he said. Well, of course, they're not going to be like, I ain't doing it. Of course they're going to say they support it. And then they'll go in their office and turn their head. But Bossy said good cops do not like bad cops. And that's true. No, to a certain degree, that is true. Good cops do not like bad cops. But the reason good cops do not tell on bad cops is because it's a running rule in law enforcement that snitches get stitches and end up in ditches. You don't tell on your brother law enforcement officer. You keep your mouth shut and just do your thing. They don't like the guy, but they don't want to be ostracized as the cancerous tumor in the department. You know what I mean? But he goes on to say most of the information that we get about bad cops comes from good cops, and that's how these investigations start. We don't want amongst us in this career people who don't have good intentions that have lost their integrity.
Senate Bill 80, this will strengthen the police decertification process and expand the number of acts that are considered wrongdoing for officers. The bill also requires an officer to intervene when another officer is using unjustified, excessive, or deadly force. The bill will also prevent an officer from avoiding decertification by resigning before an internal investigation is complete.
It goes down from there. It's pretty lengthy. I'll put a link to it in the description box below. But what he said there was, most of the information we get about bad cops comes from good cops. Well, I watched a paramedic in Dallas kick a homeless guy in the head, a veteran at that, and then go, come on, get up. Bam, 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 like he's in the MMA. And somebody pointed out in that video in the comments, somebody pointed out very smartly, even in the UFC, you can't kick somebody in the head when they're down. You can't do that. You can ground and pound, but you can't kick them in the head. But I watched the Dallas paramedic do that, and nobody stepped in. Not one person came in and said, yo, 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 what are you doing? No, you know what they said? Tase him, tase him, tase him. The guy's getting beat down by a paramedic, and they go, tase him, tase him, tase him. Not, yo, yo, whoa, Cox, what are you doing, dude? You're a cock, Cox. And you can watch that video on my list. It's the Dallas paramedic. But then this comes back to Kentucky here, this new state bill, where they're going to say, if you're a bad cop, we're going to take your certification. You can go to another state and be a cop. Because that's what they'll do, right? Yeah, I'll just go down to Louisiana and be a cop. I might even be a state trooper. They'll take me. Not in Kentucky. In Kentucky, they're looking to get rid of them.